produce is so advanced that we're actually exporting it and then importing it back, but also selling it there. It's just a theory, I don't really know, but it's an interesting point that Coca-Cola, at some point or another is going to have to come to a day of reckoning of, well, what do you do when you run out of customers? And what will happen, perhaps, I don't know, but observationally, if the system over here that is building profit, reaches a point where it cannot make any more profit at all, because all industries and everything that are contributing have reached the maximum profit, and this side is demanding more and more interest. What do you do in that situation? It's very interesting. See, this is about evolution. The economy evolved from one point, totalitarian agriculture, to barter, to money, to lending, to, is it possible that someday lending will be obsolete because we can't pay the interest and we'll have to come up with another system? Some would say gold is a great idea. You can't charge interest, but that's a whole debate. But when that point comes about, along with technology advancing faster and faster, and industries reach their maximum growth capacity, when all three of these things start to happen, we'll probably be at a point of sophistication that the infrastructure to produce our basic goods and needs will be so advanced that we're going to reach what I call the equitous wealth management economic rule number 2, which is zero cost, begins to manifest itself. And that is when a consumable, as I said earlier, the air, it's zero cost, there's no profit, we're actually going to reach a state of production that matches like the consumption of air. And we're already seeing that, and you've all participated in this by making a cell phone call. How much does it cost after the cell phone towers are up and everything else like that to actually provide it? There's not a bunch of operators going, hold on, Joe, I'm going to connect you over to her. There's no human labor applied whatsoever. And that's what the equitous wealth management rule number 2 is that basically when production gets so far advanced and is so reliable and so energy efficient that it requires zero application of labor, in theory, you can't make a profit from it either at that point. Like taking case in point, say you wanted a little half gallon or something of soy milk. Today there's incredible farming technology that will actually plant the soy plants, will tend to them, will harvest them, take the soybeans, put them on a conveyor belt, which are put into a processing plant, which are then processed and put into neat little packages, which are then put on a truck and brought to the points of consumption, markets, restaurants, your house even, or what have you. As that system advances and becomes more and more sophisticated, it's going to require less and less and less labor. And if we build that system to the point whereas it's actually 100% reliable, kind of like a machine checking the machine that it's running, like your check engine light in your automobile goes off when there's a problem. Well, if we advance this system so far that it requires zero application of human effort to the point of consumption, whereas it's just, oh, I want soy milk, it's at my house, it's at my fridge, it's at my office in my fridge, it's at the restaurant I like to go to, it's at the supermarket. In theory, it's interesting, but it gets very difficult to make a profit. And if that environment manifests itself at the same time that the industries have gotten to the point whereas they can't make any more profit to satisfy the interest, we might get to the point where we have a psychological tipping point and sensible realization that perhaps we should start managing our economy, our resources, to be more economical instead of profitable. And we'll actually be able to afford that at that time because the technology will be there to be able to subsidize what we were otherwise doing to make a profit. It's a difficult thing to see at first. Again, go back to pretending we were living at a time when we didn't realize that the earth was round. It's incredibly different to see the world in a different way than what you obviously experience in it. But you can't stop evolution. We're going to evolve. And technology, you can't hold it down forever will keep advancing. So if you think it through, what could manifest out of a system like this, whereas profit wasn't the number one goal anymore of our economic system? Remember earlier I said the way we're operating in a fashion that profit is the number one goal. What if it wasn't number one anymore? What if it was kind of like number two? Still there because we needed it, but it would be interesting. We would switch from we wouldn't necessarily switch, and these are all just observations or theories, if you will, but we would perhaps go from scarcity to abundance. We would go from systems that pollute to systems that preserve the environment. A lot of times certain things are done. Unfortunately, the byproduct is pollution, but if we didn't have to make a profit, we could perhaps choose the more expensive clean method, Today in our economic system, only ideas that generate a profit are the ideas that we pursue. And anything else that doesn't, we don't do. We might see an environment where we do much more space exploration, much more research, much more development on ideas, because they wouldn't be so costly anymore. We go from manual labor, perhaps, to much more automation or extrusion productivity, which is something I don't have the time to talk about. But perhaps we would go from stress and less time and more stress to a lot more time and less stress. We might go from full employment, because automation is so advanced, to just having a thing called minimum employment, just employing people for things that are necessary, not because we need to complicate things to make a profit. We could go from perhaps, illness and treating people to health and cures, wars to peace, inferior goods, planned obsolescence to quality and reliability. A great place that you've seen this, or you see it, is in the tires you use and the road you drive on. We have the ability to make a tire last a lot longer than 15,000 miles or what have you, but that would be against being able to maximize profit. It's also driven on a road made of asphalt, which is petroleum fossil fuel, which is an inferior technology to concrete, which we used to use all the time. I ride my bicycle up and down the Hollywood Hills, and in the most difficult areas to pave, where it's very steep and curved and where there's natural springs coming across, it's still the old concrete. Why didn't they replace it with asphalt if it's so much better and versatile? You can even see stamped in it, built in 1926 by the original contractor. Why? Because it lasts, and you can't make a profit off it again. It's the new system in play. It's where evolution is. It's where we're going, like it or not, eventually. Well, I like it, but, we'll see. We'll go from needless complexity to simplicity and efficiency. The standard of living, arguably, if you think the way we're living today is good, and I agree, it is, we haven't seen nothing yet. It's actually unimaginable. Imagine trying to explain a cell phone call to someone 300 years ago. The same things that we might be able to benefit off in the future, we can't even comprehend ourselves today. But a lot of these things we don't know about because it's contrary to the monetary system we have in place. So we would go from what I call compartmentalization to transparency on how things are done. Technologies wouldn't be held back, there'd be innovation and revolution, but not everything would change. Okay? And I shouldn't be saying, and I tried to rehearse this without saying what will happen, because I don't know at all what will happen. But I do believe it will evolve into a different state and mentality. But a lot of things wouldn't change. Why would entertainment change? A joke that was funny, years ago will still be funny in the future. A good quality movie entertainment in theater will still be quality entertainment in theater. Fashion will still be fashion. We're going to still have culture and ways and beliefs and ways of doing things that wouldn't change. These are all the things that we enjoy too. Sports, why should that change at all? Arts, we're still going to enjoy going to the museum. So not everything will change. And in summary, an economic system is very much like a living organism when you just look back and critique it, or just observe it, if you will. And it will change, just like a living